What's good, world? Okay, so since I saw Talk to Me last night, I got to thinking, like, okay, maybe I should create like a top five movies that I won't ever forget as far as horror films, top five horror films I won't ever forget as far as their scenes. And, they do still stick with me till this day. Like, I could see certain scenes and be like, yo, that's crazy. Oh, man. Whew, right? Give me those jitters. However, spoiler warning, if you've never seen these films and you hear me describe what happens to them, I'm sorry, but I'm about to show you I am an OG horror fan. All right. So if you've never seen these films, like I said, I grew up in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, grew up in the 2000s. Okay. I've seen a lot of horror movies in my life while everybody else was just watching comedy. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you my honorable mentions list, and then I'm going to talk about my top five. So here's my honorable mentions list. I have Misery. If you've never seen Misery, just go ahead and look up the famous Misery scene, okay? And this scene is very famous because this is about a writer that's been kidnapped by his fanatic fan, okay? She got him into bed. He's laying there, right? She puts a piece of log in between his feet and literally takes a sledgehammer and just boom, breaks his fucking ankle just like that. I'm like, yo. This scene was crazy in the 90s. Think about it. Literally in the 90s, that shit was wild as fuck, right? So that was back in the day. Not some of you weren't even born when you seen that shit. Okay, I seen that shit. I was legit. I was like, okay. Like I said, I had an older brother. Shout out to Big Bro. I love you. But yeah, that was a cool scene. Also, another honorable mention, Terrifier 1. Now, mind you, I saw this film by myself. And, as I'm watching this film, because I'm like, okay, there's a creepy clown. There's a crazy clown going rampaging on people and shit like that. I thought it was crazy. Then you already know, all you Terrifier fans out there, all you, that understand what I'm about to say. Yeah, imagine getting split in half, okay? Not from your head, like Mortal Kombat. No, like Terrifier 1 does. From your fucking shit, man. Your fucking shit, man, okay? He got this chick upside down and then he fucking saws her like this. And he saws her down and I'm like, oh. And for those that see this on Facebook, shout out to David Howard Thornton for being the actor that did that, okay? And this is why I'm a fanatic of Terrifier. I love that movie. Shout out to him and David Leone. So they're both on this Facebook or they're both, anywhere else. Catch them on Twitter. Matter of fact, they're playing Terrifier 1 in movie theaters right now. So please check it out. That scene is being played in movie theaters right now. Okay, just so y'all know. All right. Shameless plug. All right. My next film, honorable mention, Dead Alive. Now, some of you out there that's OG horror fans, you already understand what I'm about to say. I don't know this film as Brain Dead. I'm sorry. They changed the name to Brain Dead for legal reasons, I guess. But when I grew up in the 90s, I saw this film as Dead Alive. This movie was fucking disgusting, okay? This film, and not only is it's like dark horror comedy, that's what it really is, but it's really like one of those Evil Dead type of films. So basically this diseased monkey bites an old lady and then all of a sudden she starts turning into a zombie, and when she's eating with her guests, her ear falls off, her fucking nose and slob and eyeball fall out, and she's like, ugh, and it's like nasty as fuck. She's eating pudding. It's the nastiest shit. This film was one of the most goriest films of all time, and it held that record for a long time. So for those who know about that film, yeah, you know what I'm saying. And not to mention there's a lawnmower scene in here where he basically is killing all the zombies with the lawnmower. He's like, kind of reminded me of Ash and the Evil Dead type of stuff. So it was kind of like that. I think it was more like a spin-off of that. But to me, this was a crazy film because of the gore and the graphics of it. It really wasn't the script that did it for me. It was more so the gore and the graphics that did it for me. And I thought it was just, I knew it was fake, but I knew that the amount of work that had to be done for this film was amazing. So shout out to y'all. Another honorable mention, my last honorable mention, and I'm sorry for those who disagree with me, but here we go. honorable mention, It Follows. All right. Now, Phil, why this ain't higher on your list? Well, because for me as a filmmaker, first of all, I respect this film. All right. This film had a great concept and they did it for cheap. You know, it's a really cheap concept and it makes for a great horror film if you're doing a horror film. But basically the only scene that scared the shit out of me in this film was when the old lady came walking at the chick. That shit, first of all, there's nothing more scarier than an old lady with white hair and she's not saying shit to you. And then on top of that, here's where it gets better. People, remember, in horror films, if the score doesn't kick, if it doesn't hit, even ask Jordan Peele. He even explained this to Trevor Noah. So go ahead and look at his interview with Trevor Noah, because he says the difference between comedy and horror films is the score, the music, okay? So understand, I am a music producer. I will be making my own film when the time comes. So in It Follows, of course, there was, the camera scene that was, the camera shots that were going when the camera's panning and things like that. The thing is keep coming towards you. I thought it was great. However, there were certain scenes, I just felt like was just over the top and just really wasn't enough for me to say, damn, that shit was scary as hell. No, it was really more so that one scene where the old lady's coming and then you hear the music and they're going, din, 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 din. That was dope. That was the best scene in It Follows. Everything else, it was all right. But remember, I will never ever forget that fucking scene because that shit was fucking terrifying, okay? Now, sorry, you know who you are. Now, on to my top 5, all right? So, top 5 films that I just feel like I will never ever forget. And you don't have to agree with me, but this is just my list. I'm sorry, it is what it is. So, when I first seen this film, I thought this film was, not written all the way great, but visual wise in the 2000s, horror movies needed something new. Like everybody was doing the whole Michael Myers versus Busta Rhymes, and it was just a bad time for horror films. And when this movie came out in 2000 or like 2002, it was like a breath of fresh air because everything else was like straight trash. Jason Goes to New York. And all this other shit was happening in the 90s where everybody was just making basically anything. And it was just like, yeah, y'all running out of concepts, bruh. You know what I'm saying? But when The Ring came out, yeah, The Ring was dope right when it came out. So like I said, I've seen these films in the theaters. I did not wait for it to hit VHS. I did not wait for it to hit whatever else. I saw these films in the theaters. And so these are theater reactions, okay? So when I went to see this shit, holy shit, when the girl came out the fucking TV, okay? First of all, the scene where she's like, they found her in the closet and she's like this, bruh, what the fuck? That shit scared the shit. Because first of all, I didn't expect that. I was listening to their conversation like, let me understand what's happening more. Then it busts out with that shit. I was like, blah, 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 blah. That shit scared the shit out of me. So that was a cool scene. And also when she came out the TV and, it's in the realistic nature of this, because remember, people, this is kind of like urban legend where you're playing with something and then you fuck around and find out. That's what Talk to Me was last night. You're playing with something and you fucked around and found out. Okay, so that's just what it is. But for them to come out on VHS, see, at the time VHS was the thing at the time. It wasn't DVD or nothing like that. It was VHS. So it was really cool to see this, that scene, and it just stuck with me for the rest of my life because it was at a pivotal moment when horror movies needed a change, okay? Now, number 4, when this movie came out, holy fuck, okay? This movie came out, I saw this was one of the GOATs of the 90s, okay? This is literally a GOAT of the 90s, okay? Late 90s. The Sixth Sense, okay? Now this film, holy shit. Till this day, some of you are like, why am I afraid to go to the bathroom at night? Well, it's because of this fucking movie, because holy fuck. Why the fuck would you leave the door open, M. Night Shyamalan? Why did you do that, bro? Why'd you leave the door open, bro? Why did you make him piss with the door open and then a fucking ghost walked by? You fucking terrified everybody with that shit. And then she fucking, like, in the kitchen, he's like, mama? It was so innocent. It was like I was relating to him because I was a kid. And I was like, yeah, that happens to me too. I might do that. And then she's like, I won't take it anymore. like chasing him and shit. I'm like, bruh, fuck this movie. Everybody was terrified in the movie theater. M. Night Shyamalan, you was in your bag that time. Good job. And also the beginning scene, okay? Basically where the patient is telling him, do you know why the hairs stand up on the back of your neck? I'm like, yeah, that's because it's cold, right? And he was like, that's them. I'm like, bitch. almost slapped the screen. Like, why would you scare me like that, bro? Like, now every time it's cold, listen, forget all that. Listen, all I'm saying is, look, when it's cold and I got the AC on, I'm so glad I'm a grown up now, because when I was a kid, I used to believe that shit. Like, yo, maybe it ain't the AC. Maybe it is. Like, where that gust of wind come from? Like, don't be feeling up on me, bruh. You know what I'm saying? That might be them too, trying to touch up on me, bruh. Get up off me, bruh. But anyways, that's just what it is. But, and on top of that, the score in The Sixth Sense was awesome. The score was creepy. It was just a top tier film. And then here go to top it all off. That's why I said M. Night Shyamalan was on his bag. The scene where the little boy is in the car with his mom and he's like, yeah, there's a crash up there. There's a lady. She died. She's like, oh my God, do you see her? And he's like, yes. Oh my God, where? Standing next to my window. What? And then the lady with the blood on her head, she just looking at him and she just walk away. Bruh, M. Night Shyamalan, you was in your bag that time. I mean, you got close to some films, but that film right there was your best top tier, timeless classic film, Sixth Sense. You had the best actor, you had Bruce Willis, Mr. Die Hard America. So good job on that film, man. Always salute you for that. Now, number three, many people may not agree, but I'm gonna tell you why this film still visually sticks with people till this day, okay? Number 3, Sinister, okay? Sinister is one of those crazy films that if you didn't know nothing about it, you're not even realizing what you're watching, okay? So when I heard about Sinister in 2012, I heard that this film was about a demon that travels through images. And every time you see the image, he's living in the image looking dead at your fucking ass. So I was like, what the fuck? Like, that's fucking terrifying. That's a great concept. Whoever made that concept is really, really cool. Thank you for that. For scaring the shit out of me. Okay, just off of that. Now, when the guy goes in the attic and he finds the Super 8 footage, this is where it gets real, because there's a lawnmower over there, by the way. Notice how I'm using the lawnmower in another reference in another horror movie. All right, so the first Super 8 film that I thought was dope was that lawnmower scene where, you know, the camera's riding and then you see the grass is just going and then boom, you see the head and he just rolls over the head with the lawnmower. Oh man, that gore scene, awesome. Second Super 8 footage film I saw on there was the tree scene where the tree broke and then everybody just like getting their fucking, and then they stopped moving and shit one by one. It was like, that was just crazy. I thought that was insane. Then the infamous pool scene. That pool scene to me was the scariest shit I've ever seen in the movie Sinister. Because remember, I already knew that every time you see this demon, he's living in the image. So that means he's probably living through that actual, it's like he's replaying death. And then he looks at you that's watching the fucking camera and he can fucking fuck with you and travel and come and see about you. That's fucking nuts, man. Like, so that's why I said you have to study some of these films and actually understand, okay, how is this film better than that film, better than this film? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said, you know, certain films, I get it, you know what I mean? Like, you know, people like it more than this film. But remember, people, there's when you understand what I'm about to say, you know, you'll hear me out. So, also, what was I gonna say? Yeah, that's basically it for Sinister. Now, number 2. Now I know some of you may disagree with me, and I don't care because this is my video. This is my top 5. All right. Now, this movie that I will never ever forget, and it actually inspired me to make my own film, to talk about what I want to put out and scare people with. Okay. Is called Get Out. All right. You already know what Get Out is. This is basically showing the realness and the reality of hypnosis done to black people. Okay, now that is a very real thing. Matter of fact, and for those who don't want to hear it, you could just go down the history of the world and just see how hypnosis was placed on black people. And I ain't talking about just look right here, look right here. See, that's the trope that was done in the movie. But the real hypnosis is through oppression, fear, and pressure, and peer pressure, which is, you know, a big thing that's done in the Talk to Me film. If you watch it, a lot of peer pressure done in that. All right, and you already see by the trailers. So, but yeah, but to me, Get Out was great because it put a mirror to me. It put a mirror to black people that actually believe in certain religions, and like, hey, black folk, look at you and look how you look. You're being puppetized by certain individuals that don't look like you, and here you're reading their book and you're believing it as true, and then you come outside looking like crazy to the rest of us who actually did homework and was like, I don't think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna just probably go the other way. You know what I'm saying? That's how this movie is. And the reality of this movie is hypnosis is still happening today. That's why I said this film, to me, Get Out, inspired me, because that's why I said there's a genius behind Jordan Peele. He ain't gonna say it out loud, but don't worry, brother, we got it for you. But he's basically showing how hypnotized black people are that actually dip into Christianity and shit like that. So when you see them on Facebook talking about, oh, thank God, this blah, 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 that's probably what it is. They're hypnotized and they don't understand. They haven't read the book. They don't know what the fuck they talking about. And here we go. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it is. But I thought this was scary because we see it every day in our lives. And sometimes, like when you say, hey, brother, how you doing, brother? Yeah, we ain't with that other stuff, right? And they'd be like, oh, the Lord thanks you, brother, for coming down here today. Oh, that's not what I was saying, but all right, bruh. But anyways, bro, let me take a picture of you, bro. Oh shit! Get out, man! They finna hypnotize you. What? Huh? Yeah. Thank you, Jordan Peele. All right. Anyways, number one, I'm gonna just make this short and sweet. Hereditary. Yeah. I'm sorry. This film, you know, like I said, filmmaking all the way through until the last 5 minutes. Okay. It was a masterpiece of a horror film. Why? Because it was a slow burn possession film. It has gory scenes and it is terrifying, okay, if you are going through that process, because you're forced to be in the shoes of the dude who just lost his sister, right, who had a fucking peanut butter allergic reaction. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, that's crazy. So that's why this film is, you know, a top tier film, okay? It was just, I mean, the realness of it. But then you know that there's crazy shit going on, and then that infamous possession scene at the end where she's like banging her head on the fucking shit, and it's like, oh, that's some terrifying shit. Then you got the infamous decapitation scene, and she just, and now mind you, she doesn't watch horror movies, but you couldn't tell by watching that decapitation scene, she's looking like this. And then when he see that, and he sees she's cutting off her head, he jumps out the window. And then all of a sudden, you hear her do it faster. And then her body drops. Now here's the part that sucked. She starts flying into the fucking treehouse. And everybody laughed. I mean, it was me and this old couple in the movie theater. I saw it in the movie theater, which made it great. But I'm sure everybody else saw that and was like, look at that shit. And it just kind of killed it for everybody. But everything else before that was masterpiece, and that's why ain't none topping it right now. That's why you're gonna hear other horror movie fans say Hereditary is their number one horror film, because holy fuck, that shit was tense. You can't just watch it at home with all the lights on and the sun out. You can't cheat like that. Nah, dog. We real horror fans. We wait until nighttime. We everything out. Okay, yeah. So, anyways, that is my top 5 horror films that stuck with me for the rest of my life. If you want to have yours, have yours. I know this video is quite long, but I appreciate you for sticking by and listening, hear me out. So I'll see you soon.